Hi, this is Fern G. Carr, website www.ferngzcarr.com. Welcome to my Facebook Live reading, War, Astronomy, Part 3, Question and Answer. Right now, I guess it's time to see if anybody has any questions or comments for me. I would be most happy to answer them. Like I say, you just have to type them up in the comments section on the left. Lisa, I see you said hello, hi. I really like it that you've joined in, and thank you very much for watching. In terms of questions, I have different people, of course, asking me different questions depending on the kinds of readings that I'm doing. Basically, for this reading, I guess people might wonder, like I say, a little bit about the astronomy. Oh, okay. Thank you, Lisa. You're asking what my poem was about that got sent into space. And the idea was that we were supposed to send a message to Mars. And it was part of, now I'm not sure if I'm getting this exactly right, but I believe there's astrophysics, a lab in Boulder, Colorado, that in conjunction with NASA sponsored this contest, and it's going to Mars with MAVEN. That's the name of the contest, and they burnt the winning, they were haiku, and they burnt the winning ones to DVD, and it was basically to send Martians a message. So mine was basically that Mars is an anagram for arms, and ours are open to you in friendship. And like I said, it's just something else to know that that poem is up there. Oh, okay. Matthew asks, what made you juxtapose the topics of war and astronomy for this reading? And thank you for that question. I knew that the war topic would be pretty heavy stuff, pretty heavy reading, and I wanted to balance it off with something that was a little bit less depressing, let's say. So that's why I want to have contrasts. And as I said, for my readings, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to have a balance. Like last week's, I did supernatural and wordplay. Next week, as I said, I'm doing afterwards and dark humor. And then for the final one, I'm going to do mind and forms. So mind will deal with a variety of psychological issues, and forms are going to be different types of form poetry. So that hopefully should be of interest, I hope, to people. Let's see, scroll down here without logging off by accident. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Lisa says, so excited for you. Love that arms are open in friendship. And it's funny, I've been actually interviewed about that a couple of times. What I say to people is, it's nice. And of course, I can't even begin to articulate what kind of an honor it is. But realistically, it is in orbit around Mars. And even if Martians could get to it, my standing joke is, I don't know if Martians speak English, and I don't know if Martians have DVD players, but it is something to, like I say, as long as it stays in orbit, that's really something. And now with the new space exploration, it might have some company, so who knows, maybe somebody someday will be able to read it. Wouldn't that be nice? Any other questions? Please feel free to type them. I'm just trying to think of what other things, like I said, last week I was thinking about that too, the types of things people ask me. They sometimes ask me how long I've been doing this for and when I got started with my poetry. So I've been doing this now for, I shouldn't say because I'm, again, dating myself here, but I've been doing this for over 20 years now. And I basically started, well, just subtract 20 and you'll figure it out. And it's just something, I find that I have a little comment. I've got a little philosophy section on my web page. And basically, I keep a notebook of poems by other people, or a collection of poems by other people, I should say, my favorite poems. And, I read them and I reread them, and I just feel that they move me. And the whole reason for me for getting into this is into the poetry business, besides the fact that it was just sort of, without sounding corny, kind of a calling. I just felt that it was something that I wanted to do to really have an effect on people's lives, even if my poetry could only affect one or two people. If my poems could resonate with them so that long after they're finished reading them, they still think about them. You know, there's a poem by Linda Ellis called The Dash, and one of the quotes, or a modification of one of the lines in that poem, was something like, and you see this now on various websites. It's quite a popular quote. Your life is made of two dates and a dash. Make the most of the dash. So I see that. I think about her poem, and it gives me pause, and it's something to use as inspiration. Now, I'm not saying that my poems are going to be inspiring people, but I hope that they entertain them, and maybe in some small way, if they can. That's what it's all about. So I'm just checking here. I've got about another minute to go, just to see if there's anything else here. Elisa also asks, excellent variation in themes in your poetry. Do you have a favorite that you gravitate towards? That's a really good question. It just depends on what mood I'm in. I mean, I've written some dark poems. I wrote a poem called Misogyny at Its Best, and it was a poem about the way women were treated over the centuries, including during the Salem witch trials and the Spanish Inquisition. But then I wrote a poem called I Got a Stupid Code, and it's written phonetically, like somebody has a cold and they're complaining about it and they have the sniffles. So it's just basically all over the place. And I find that, I just like to write a variety of different poems. And I find that when they're published, certain publishers gravitate towards certain themes, certain styles. So I have some visual poems, a lot of different styles, and I'll be talking about that more in my section about form poetry. That will be in the last week, my fourth reading for this series. Thank you. I appreciate those questions. So I think we are now at the half-hour mark. So I really want to thank you for having attended. It means a lot to me. And I'll say goodbye until next week. And thanks again. See you. Acknowledgements. Part 3 is an excerpt from the original full video, which was kindly sponsored by the League of Canadian Poets and the Canada Council for the Arts. Thanks very much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like, and please be sure to subscribe. For more poetry, my book Shards of Crystal is available on Amazon. Thanks again, and stay tuned for a new video every Wednesday.